My wife Jane and I have been living together for 3 years. We have a child and we are both 26 years old. We live a pretty normal life with the usual arguments that most couples have. This story happened about 4 months ago. I woke up after my friend Jack's big wedding and my head was splitting from the experience the day before. I lay in the quiet of the house for about 20 minutes, then got up and went into the dining room. On the table was a note from Jane, saying that she and her son had gone to spend the night at her sister Carolyn's house and would be back later. I immediately headed to the refrigerator for a beer to ease my hangover. I opened it and drank it down. As I stepped out of the shower, I saw my mother-in-law Alina standing there. "Alina, what are you doing here?" I asked, ignoring the fact that I was only in a towel. "Didn't Carolyn write you that I was coming to get pears from the orchard?" she replied, clearly trying not to look at my lack of clothes on. I told her I hadn't seen my phone and went to get dressed. A little about Alina: she's 47 and accountant, though she looks younger. Average height, decent figure for her age, shoulder-length blonde hair. But her big brown eyes are a family trait. Her husband, my father-in-law, is in jail for fraud with a long sentence. We help Alina in any way we can pay the utilities, send packages to her father-in-law in prison. I came out of the bedroom and saw Alina picking pears in buckets, despite the sweltering heat. I offered to pick them so she could rest in the house where it was cooler. She insisted on going herself. For the next half hour, I couldn't escape the feeling that Alina was watching me. "Michael," she called out. "What's the matter?" I replied. She asked how to turn on the shower in the hall bathroom. I showed her, and then went out for a smoke to leave her alone. But I managed to catch a glimpse of her silhouette through the frosted glass. When I returned, I cheerfully said, "Have a nice shower." "So, son-in-law?" she asked quietly, not understanding. I asked what she meant. "Did you like what you saw?" "Watching me?" she clarified firmly. I stammered that I would never invade her privacy like that. "Besides, you're an attractive woman. It's hard not to admire you," I admitted. She blushed at the compliment. After a pause, she confessed how lonely she was with her husband gone, and that she longed for warmth and affection. "Could you help your mother-in-law for once?" she asked. I was stunned, but immediately agreed to fulfill her request. We kept our passionate meeting a secret. A month later, I heard a knock on the door, and was surprised to see Alina standing there with a nervous expression on her face. "I'm sorry to bother you, Michael, but I need your help again," she said. I escorted her inside, concerned. As we sat on the couch, she explained that her car had broken down on the highway a few miles away. A tow truck is on its way, but they said it would take a couple hours. "I didn't know who else to call," she admitted. "Sure, make yourself comfortable," I replied. I brought her a glass of iced tea while she settled in, clearly still disturbed by the ordeal. We sweetly made small talk about her work, Jane, and the baby to distract ourselves. After about 20 minutes, I noticed that she kept fidgeting and biting her nails. "Is everything okay, Alina?" I asked. "You still look very tense." At first she brushed it off, but I realized something else was bothering her. Finally, she sighed and looked up at me. "It's just the fact that I'm here again brings back memories of the time we were together." I couldn't stop thinking about it for the past month. I felt a shiver run through me at her words. Clearing my throat, I carefully replied, "I admit, I've thought about it a lot too. But Alina, we agreed this was a one-time thing. I love my wife, and you are my mother-in-law." She moved closer and placed her hand tentatively on my knee. "I know we shouldn't, but I've been so lonely, Michael," she pleaded. "Could we spend an hour together while I wait?" My pulse quickened as she looked at me pleadingly. The spark between us could still be felt even after weeks apart. Before I could finish the thought, I nodded and eagerly led her into the bedroom, quickly shedding my clothes on the way. Afterward, we lay in each other's arms, flushed and exhausted. Guilt crept into my soul when I thought of Jane, who had trusted me unconditionally. Sensing my distress, Alina struck my face and whispered that no one could ever know. I prayed that she was right, snuggling up to her, and wished very much that she would leave before Jane returned, so that our secret would not be revealed. Over the next few months, Alina showed up frequently on the pretext that she needed to fix or borrow various things. And each time we inevitably ended up in bed, the passion and longing between us too strong to resist. We stole moments at every opportunity, consumed by our addiction to each other. But one night, our luck ran out. Jane came home early from work and found Alina and me frantically dressing upstairs. Too late, we heard the front door open, and my wife groaned in pain as the truth hit her, to betrayals of her husband and of her beloved mother. Then followed the painful dissolution of my marriage as Jane took our son and moved in with Carolyn, vowing never to speak to me again. My desperate pleas and apologies went unheeded. Alina and I continued our affair for a while longer, but the guilt was too great when I realized I had destroyed Jane's life and trust in those closest to her. In the end, I was left alone and outcast in my own family, haunted by a mistake that had cost me everything. To this day, I love Jane and would give anything to make up for the pain I caused. But the one thing you can never get back once it's broken is trust. And so I lived with the consequences of my actions, mourning all that I threw away in a moment of weakness. On that fateful day, my life was divided into a before and an after, and nothing has ever been the same since.